Before we begin this journey, let me ask you a simple question. How often do you stop yourself from asking for something you truly want? Maybe it's a raise at work. Maybe it's help from a friend. Maybe it's an opportunity you dream about. Most people hesitate. Most people hold back. And as a result, they never get what they could have had. This audiobook is about mastering the art of asking. It's about breaking free from fear, learning the psychology of human behavior, and developing the confidence to request anything you want from people, from situations, and even from life itself. If you listen carefully, chapter by chapter, you will understand why asking is not a weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. And if you apply these principles, you will begin to unlock doors that once seemed closed to you. So if you're ready, let's begin. Chapter 1. Why most people fail to ask. Think about this. Almost every great achievement in life is the result of someone asking. A scientist asked a new question that led to a discovery. An entrepreneur asked investors for support. A student asked a teacher for guidance. A child asked their parents for a chance to try something new. Asking is the bridge between what you have and what you want. And yet, most people rarely cross that bridge. They stay silent. They hold their desires inside. They wait, hoping someone will notice what they need, but often no one does. Why is that? Why do most people fail to ask? One of the biggest reasons is fear of rejection. Deep down, humans crave acceptance. We want to belong. When you ask, and someone says no, it feels like rejection of you, not just your request. That fear keeps people quiet. They think, what if they laugh at me? What if I look weak? What if they say no and I feel embarrassed? So instead of risking rejection, they choose silence. Another reason people fail to ask is lack of clarity. Many people don't even know exactly what they want. They feel a vague desire, I want to be successful, or I want help, but they can't define it. And when you don't know what you want, you can't ask for it clearly. Imagine walking into a restaurant and telling the waiter, just bring me food. You might get something random, but not what you truly wanted. Life works the same way. There's also the problem of self-doubt. People question their own worth. They think, do I really deserve this? Who am I to ask for more? Maybe I should just stay quiet. This inner dialogue kills opportunities before they even start. If you don't believe in your own value, it's hard to ask others to believe in it. Cultural conditioning also plays a role. Many of us were raised to believe that asking is rude, that we should be polite, that we should wait our turn. Don't bother people. Don't ask for too much. Be grateful for what you have. While gratitude is important, this conditioning often turns into silence, and silence, in many cases, means missed chances. Some people fail to ask because they expect others to read their minds. They think, if they really cared, they would know what I need. But life doesn't work like that. Most people are too busy with their own problems to guess yours. If you don't express your needs, chances are no one will fulfill them. Another common reason is ego. Some people think asking makes them look weak or dependent. They want to appear strong, independent, in control. They believe they should be able to do everything alone. But here's the truth. No great success in history was achieved alone. Every leader, every inventor, every winner had to ask for help, guidance, or resources. Asking is not weakness, it's strategy. Finally, many people don't ask because they fear the responsibility of receiving. Imagine someone asks for a new job role and actually gets it. Suddenly they have more pressure, more expectations, more accountability. Sometimes it's easier to stay in the comfort zone and not ask at all. But let's turn this around for a moment. What happens when you do ask? You open a door. Maybe it leads to a yes, maybe to a no, but at least the door is now visible. When you don't ask, the door stays invisible forever. A no doesn't harm you. It just leaves you where you already are. But a yes can change your entire life. Take the story of Thomas Edison. He was a young boy from a poor family with little formal education, but he kept asking questions, seeking answers, and requesting opportunities. If he had been silent, if he had accepted you're not smart enough, the world might never have seen the light bulb. Or think about Oprah Winfrey. She grew up facing poverty and hardship. At every stage, she asked for opportunities, asked for mentorship, asked for a chance to prove herself. Those bold requests opened doors in media, business, and beyond. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is often this simple difference. Successful people ask, while others stay silent. Now let's be clear, asking does not guarantee you will always get what you want. But not asking guarantees you will never get it. The math is simple. The more you ask, the more chances you create. Every request is a seed. Some seeds don't grow, but some turn into trees that feed you for a lifetime. So, why do most people fail to ask? Fear, doubt, ego, lack of clarity, cultural conditioning, and the desire to avoid rejection. But if you're willing to break through those barriers, if you're willing to practice the art of asking, you will place yourself in the top 1% of people who actually go after what they want. Asking is a skill. Like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. And once you master it, you will discover something powerful. People are far more willing to say yes than you think. This is where our journey begins. Now that you understand why most people don't ask, the next step is to learn how to shift your mindset, how to embrace asking, not as something to fear, but as a tool to unlock opportunities. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Asking. To truly master the art of asking, you must first understand the psychology behind it. Why do some requests get an immediate yes, while others get ignored or rejected? Why are some people natural persuaders, while others struggle to be taken seriously? The answers lie in human psychology, how our minds are wired to respond to requests. At its core, asking is not just about what you want, it's about how the other person interprets your request. Every human being has needs, desires, fears, and emotions. When you ask, you are stepping into that person's mental world. If your request aligns with their values, goals, or emotions, you are far more likely to receive a positive response. One of the most powerful psychological principles is reciprocity. Humans are wired to return favors. If someone helps us, we feel a natural obligation to help them back. This instinct is so strong that entire cultures are built on it. Think about it. If a friend buys you lunch, you feel compelled to pay next time. Smart communicators use this principle when asking. They build goodwill first. They give before they ask. Then when it's time to request something, the other person almost feels they must say yes. Another psychological principle is authority. People naturally trust and listen to those they perceive as experts, leaders, or figures of authority. If a doctor suggests a treatment, most patients accept it without question. If a teacher recommends a book, students often read it. When you ask for something, your credibility matters. The more authority or expertise you bring, the more persuasive your request becomes. But authority doesn't mean you need a fancy title. It can be as simple as demonstrating confidence, preparation, and knowledge about what you're asking for. Then comes likability. People say yes more often to those they like. It sounds obvious, but it's deeply psychological. When we like someone, because they smile, listen, show empathy, or share similar values, we want to help them. Think about the last time you agreed to do something for a close friend versus a stranger. The difference is emotional connection. If you want more yeses, invest time in building relationships, not just in making requests. Another factor is social proof. Human beings are influenced by what others are doing. If many people already support an idea, it feels safer to say yes. Advertisers use this all the time. Over 1 million people have tried this product. Politicians use it. The majority of people agree with this policy. You can use it too. If you show that others already agree, others are more likely to say yes to your request. But let's not forget about fear of loss. Psychologists call this loss aversion. People fear losing something more than they enjoy gaining it. Imagine asking a manager for a raise. If you frame it as, "I want more money," the manager may resist. But if you frame it as, "If I'm not compensated fairly, I might need to look for other opportunities," suddenly, the manager fears the loss of a valuable employee. Loss motivates action more than gain. Another psychological trigger is clarity. When a request is vague, the human brain resists it. Our minds prefer clarity, structure, and certainty. If someone asks, "Can you help me with something someday?" you're likely to hesitate. But if they ask, "Can you meet me tomorrow at 3 p.m. to review this project for 30 minutes?" you're much more likely to agree. Clear requests remove the mental burden of decision-making. One more principle is scarcity. People value what is rare or limited. If you ask someone for help and show that their involvement is unique or time-sensitive, they feel a greater urge to say yes. "I'd love your advice on this project. You're the only person I know with this kind of experience, and I need your input before Friday." Scarcity creates urgency. And finally, let's talk about confidence. Human beings are drawn to certainty. If you sound unsure, people hesitate. If you sound confident, people trust you. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It means being clear, direct, and calm when you ask. It means believing in your own worth before expecting others to believe in it. Let's put all these principles together in a simple example. Imagine you want to ask your boss for funding to attend a professional training program. If you walk in and say nervously, "I was kind of hoping you might let me go to this thing," chances are slim. But if you prepare carefully, show authority by explaining the benefits, build reciprocity by highlighting how you've contributed to the company, demonstrate social proof by showing how others in the industry attend, and use clarity by asking for a specific budget and date, your odds of success skyrocket. So, the psychology of asking is not about luck. It's about alignment. Align your request with human instincts, reciprocity, authority, likability, social proof, fear of loss, clarity, scarcity, and confidence, and you multiply your chances of hearing yes. But here's the real secret. These principles are not tricks. They are truths about human behavior. Use them with honesty, with respect, and with integrity, because manipulation may win once, but trust and authenticity win forever. Now that you understand the psychology of asking, the next step is to face the enemy that stops most people before they even start. The fear of rejection. Chapter 3. Overcoming the fear of rejection. If there is one thing that stops most people from asking, it is the fear of rejection. This fear is so powerful that many never even try. They keep silent, hoping someone will magically notice their needs. But silence rarely gets rewarded. To truly master the art of asking, you must first make peace with the word no. Think about this. Rejection is not a personal attack. It is simply information. When someone says no, it does not mean you are unworthy, unlikable, or undeserving. It usually means one of three things: the timing is not right, the person lacks the resources to give, or they simply have other priorities. Yet our brains interpret no as something deeper, an attack on our identity. This is because, for thousands of years, humans survived in tribes. Being rejected by the group meant being left alone, which often meant death. That ancient fear still lives in us. But today, rejection does not kill us, it simply redirects us. Let's break down why rejection feels so painful. Psychologists say rejection activates the same part of the brain as physical pain. That's why, when someone ignores you, it feels almost like a punch in the stomach. Your body reacts, your heart races, you replay the words in your mind. But just like physical pain, emotional pain heals with time and practice. The more you expose yourself to rejection, the less power it has over you. One of the most powerful exercises for overcoming rejection fear is called rejection therapy. It was popularized by an entrepreneur named Jia Jiang, who deliberately sought rejection for 100 days. Every day he would ask for something outrageous, a free burger refill, flying a plane, or borrowing money from strangers. Most of the time people said no, but sometimes surprisingly they said yes. The exercise taught him that rejection is not deadly, and that sometimes the impossible becomes possible simply because he dared to ask. Here's the lesson. If you can survive one no, you can survive 1,000. Each rejection is like a workout for your emotional muscles. The first time, it stings. The 10th time, it bothers you less. The 100th time, you might even laugh. And with each attempt, your courage grows. Another way to overcome rejection, fear, is to separate the outcome from your identity. Too many people think, if they reject my request, they are rejecting me. That is false. They are rejecting a proposal, not a person. Imagine a salesperson making 50 calls a day. Most prospects say no. Does that mean the salesperson is worthless? No. It means the offer did not align with the customer's needs. In the same way, your value is not defined by whether someone accepts or rejects your request. It also helps to reframe rejection as feedback. Every no teaches you something. Maybe your request wasn't clear, maybe your timing was off, maybe you asked the wrong person. Instead of seeing rejection as the end, see it as a guidepost pointing you in a better direction. For example, if you ask your manager for a raise and get rejected, pay attention to the reason. If they say, the budget is tight right now, that's not a permanent no, it's a timing issue. Try again later. If they say, you need to show more results, that's not rejection, it's feedback. Now you know exactly what to work on. Confidence is another shield against rejection. People fear rejection most when they secretly doubt their own worth, but when you know the value of what you bring, rejection feels smaller. Imagine offering to help a company with your unique skills. If they say no, that doesn't mean your skills are useless. It simply means they missed the opportunity. Another person will recognize your value. As long as you believe in what you bring to the table, rejection becomes just a detour, not a dead end. Let's take an everyday example. Suppose you want to ask someone out on a date. You hesitate because you fear they will say no. But think about it. What is the worst-case scenario? They decline politely. Your life continues. You learn, you grow, and maybe you even feel proud that you had the courage to ask. Compare that to the regret of never asking at all. Regret lingers longer than rejection. Here's another mindset shift. Rejection is proof of effort. Every successful person has been rejected countless times. Writers get rejected by publishers. Entrepreneurs get rejected by investors. Leaders get rejected by voters. If you are being rejected, it means you are in the arena, you are playing the game. The only people who never get rejected are those who never ask, and they also never win. Now, let's talk about resilience. When you experience rejection, don't stop. Keep moving. Treat rejection like a speed bump, not a wall. The faster you recover, the stronger you become. Some of the greatest success stories came after rejection. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter was accepted. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Imagine if they had quit after the first no. So here's the challenge. Start embracing rejection as a part of life. Set a goal to collect rejections, not avoid them. Ask for favors, opportunities, discounts, connections, anything. Each no will make you braver. Each yes will surprise you, and soon you will realize that rejection is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Because the truth is, you don't need every person to say yes. You only need the right person to say yes, and that person is waiting for you to ask. Chapter 4. The Power of Clarity in Requests. Most people fail in asking not because they are unworthy or because others are unwilling to help, but because they are unclear. They make vague requests, hint instead of speaking directly, or expect others to read their minds. Clarity is the bridge between what you want and what others understand. Without it, your requests float in the air, unanswered and ignored. Imagine someone coming up to you and saying, "Hey, can you help me sometime?" What does that even mean? Help with what? When? How? Most likely, you will respond with a polite smile and never follow up. Now imagine the same person saying, "Hey, I'm moving this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Could you bring your truck and help me transport 3 boxes?" That request is clear, specific, and actionable. You immediately know what is expected, and you can easily say yes or no. That is the power of clarity. Clarity starts with knowing what you want. Many people never take the time to define their desires. They feel unsatisfied but can't articulate why. They want success, support, or opportunity, but those are vague words. The universe and other people don't respond to vague. They respond to specific. I want a promotion to project manager within 6 months. That's clear. I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the summer. That's measurable. I want to meet 3 new clients this week. That's specific. The clearer you are, the easier it is to ask, and the easier it is for others to respond. The second step is to communicate clearly. Too often we weaken our requests with soft language. We say, "I was kind of wondering if maybe you could help." That signals doubt. People don't respond well to uncertainty. Instead, say it directly and politely. "I need your help with this project. Could you give me 2 hours on Friday afternoon?" Notice how much stronger and more respectful that sounds. Clarity also means being precise with details. Instead of asking, "Can you mentor me?" which is huge and undefined, ask, "Could we meet once a month for 30 minutes so I can learn from your career experience?" Instead of saying, "I need more support," say, "I would appreciate it if you could handle the weekly report so I can focus on client calls." Specificity removes confusion and makes it easier for people to say yes. There's another reason. Clarity matters. It shows respect for the other person's time and energy. When you make a vague request, you put the burden on them to figure out what you want. That creates friction. But when you present a clear, simple request, you make it easy for them to help, and people love to help when it's easy. Clarity also increases your confidence. Think about it. If you aren't clear about what you want, how can you expect someone else to take your request seriously? When you speak with precision, you send a message. "I know what I want, and I value your ability to help me." That confidence often inspires trust. Another key part of clarity is defining the benefit. People are more likely to respond when they understand why the request matters. For example, if you ask your boss for training, don't just say, "Can I attend a workshop?" Say, "Can I attend this workshop? It will improve my skills in data analysis, which will help our team finish projects faster." By linking your request to a clear benefit, you make it hard to refuse. Clarity also means knowing what you don't want. Sometimes, people ask in such a broad way that they end up with results they didn't expect. For example, asking someone, "Can you introduce me to people in your network?" is too vague. You might end up meeting random people who don't help your goal. But if you say, "Can you introduce me to 3 small business owners who struggle with marketing?" you get exactly the connections you need. Let's bring this into real life. Suppose you're applying for a job. Instead of sending a generic email that says, "I'm looking for opportunities," write, "I'm looking for a marketing coordinator role in a company that values creativity and growth. Do you know of any openings?" One is foggy, the other is laser-focused. Employers and contacts are far more likely to respond when your request is clear. Another story. There was a man who wanted to borrow money from a friend. Instead of saying, "I need some money, can you help me out?" which could mean anything from $5 to $5,000, he said, "I need to borrow $200 to cover my car repair, and I can pay you back in 2 weeks. That clarity turned an awkward, open-ended request into a simple yes or no. The friend agreed, because he knew exactly what was being asked. Now, here's a warning. Clarity does not mean forcefulness. You can be both clear and kind. Some people confuse clarity with bluntness or aggression, but in reality, clarity is about reducing uncertainty, not increasing pressure. A clear request respects boundaries. It gives the other person full freedom to say yes or no without guilt. Clarity also builds trust over time. When people see that you always ask directly, honestly, and specifically, they begin to trust your words. They know you are not playing games, not manipulating, not hiding your true intentions. The trust makes future requests even easier. If you struggle with being clear, practice by writing your requests down before saying them. Ask yourself, what exactly do I want? Who do I need it from? When do I want it? Why does it matter? Then strip away the fluff and keep only the essentials. The simpler, the better. At its core, clarity is about removing the fog between desire and communication. When you ask clearly, you respect yourself, you respect the other person, and you increase the chances of getting exactly what you want. Remember this. Vague requests get vague responses. Clear requests get clear results. Chapter 5. Timing. When to ask and when to wait. Asking is not only about what you say, but also about when you say it. The same request can be welcomed or rejected depending on timing. Many people fail to get what they want, not because their request was bad, but because they asked at the wrong moment. Timing is like the invisible partner in communication. It either supports you or works against you. Think about this. You approach your boss right after she has finished a stressful meeting, and you ask for a raise. Even if you deserve it, chances are slim. She'll say yes. But if you wait until after a successful project when she is in a good mood and has just praised the team, your chances increase dramatically. The content of the request hasn't changed, only the timing has. So, what makes good timing? First, emotional state matters. People respond through emotions more than logic. If someone is tired, angry, or stressed, they are less open to hearing your request. If they are relaxed, happy, or feeling accomplished, they are far more receptive. Reading the emotional climate before you ask is a skill. Look at body language, listen to tone, and sense the energy. If it feels tense, wait. If it feels light, ask. Second, context matters. Asking for something personal during a professional meeting may feel inappropriate. Asking for a favor when the other person is rushing out the door shows poor judgment. The context shapes the readiness of the listener. Always ask yourself, is this the right place and setting for my request? Third, timing is about seasons, not just moments. Some requests are more powerful when they align with a larger rhythm in life. For example, asking for a promotion makes sense after you've completed a major achievement, not during a quiet season. Asking investors for funding works best when your project is gaining traction, not at its earliest fragile stage. Let's take an example. A young entrepreneur once pitched his business idea to an investor at a random networking event. The investor brushed him off, saying he was too busy. But 6 months later, after the entrepreneur gained media attention and customer growth, he pitched again. This time, the investor was eager to listen. The request didn't change. The timing did. There's also the principle of preparation before timing. Sometimes people rush to ask before they are ready. They ask for opportunities they cannot handle or favors they haven't earned. That creates disappointment and burns bridges. Timing includes preparing yourself so that when you ask, you are in the strongest position possible. Opportunity meets preparation. That's when timing is perfect. Another element of timing is urgency versus patience. Some situations demand immediate action. For example, if your car breaks down, you need help right away. In those cases, waiting would make things worse. But in most cases, patience pays. Waiting for the right window makes your request more likely to succeed. Think about personal relationships. Asking your partner for something important right in the middle of an argument is unwise. Waiting until you are both calm and connected makes the conversation fruitful. Timing turns conflict into cooperation. Here's another powerful insight. Don't only think about your timing, think about theirs. People have their own schedules, priorities, and deadlines. If you ask someone to help you when they are drowning in their own tasks, they may refuse even if they want to say yes. But if you align your request with their free time or interests, they are much more likely to agree. Empathy is part of timing. Sometimes the best timing is created, not found. You can set the stage for your request. Maybe you schedule a lunch meeting, invite someone to a calm environment, or share a positive story before you ask. By shaping the atmosphere, you improve the timing yourself. And then there is courage. Many people use timing as an excuse to delay forever. They wait for the perfect moment that never comes. While it's true that timing matters, perfection is an illusion. The art is in balancing readiness with boldness, waiting enough to be strategic, but not so long that you miss your chance. Consider this principle. Ask when the moment feels open, not forced. You can sense when the energy is flowing, when the person is listening, when the opportunity feels alive. Trust that intuition. One final truth about timing. Sometimes not now is not never. A rejection today could become a yes tomorrow. Don't take one bad timing as a permanent wall. Life moves, moods shift, opportunities reappear. Smart askers know when to step back, wait, and try again. So, remember, clarity gets you understood, but timing gets you heard. The right words at the wrong time fall flat. The right words at the right time can change your life. Chapter 6. Building confidence in your voice. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you practice, especially when asking for what you want. Your voice is not just sound. It is a signal. The way you speak tells people whether they should trust you, take you seriously, or dismiss you. Think about it. Two people can ask the same question in two different ways. One says, I was wondering if it's not too much trouble, you could possibly help me. The other says, I believe this project will succeed if we collaborate. Would you be open to supporting me? Which one are you more likely to respond to? The confident one, of course. The words matter, but the delivery changes everything. Confidence in your voice comes from three key elements: tone, pace, and energy. First, tone. A shaky, uncertain tone makes your request sound weak. A steady, calm tone makes you sound reliable. You don't need to shout or be aggressive. Confidence is quiet strength. Practice lowering your voice slightly, speaking from your chest, and keeping your tone warm yet firm. Second, pace. When people are nervous, they speak too fast. Fast talking signals insecurity, as if you want to rush before someone cuts you off. Confident speakers slow down. They pause. They allow silence. Silence is powerful. It shows you are not afraid. Practice speaking with deliberate pauses. This creates space and makes people listen more carefully. Third, energy. Your energy should match your request. If you're asking for something exciting, let your enthusiasm shine. If you're asking for something serious, let your calm authority show. Energy is contagious. People mirror the emotion you bring. But confidence is not only about voice mechanics. It comes from the inside. If you don't believe in your own request, no tone trick will save you. True confidence starts with self-belief. Ask yourself, do I really deserve this? If the answer is yes, your voice will naturally carry conviction. Here's a secret. Preparation builds confidence. If you practice what you're going to say, if you know your facts, if you anticipate objections, you walk in stronger. The most confident speakers are not always the bravest. They are the best prepared. Rehearse your ask until it feels natural. Record yourself. Listen and adjust. Another barrier to confidence is the fear of rejection. People think, what if they say no? That fear seeps into the voice. But here's the truth. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply information. When you remove the personal sting from rejection, you free your voice to be bold. Let's use an example. Imagine a college student asking a professor for an extension. If the student mumbles, avoids eye contact, and looks down, the professor might assume the student doesn't care. But if the student says clearly, "Professor, I've been working hard, but I need 2 extra days to finish this assignment with quality. Would you consider granting me that?" The professor sees responsibility and respect. Same situation, different outcome, because of confidence. Confidence also grows through repetition. The more you ask, the more natural it feels. Think of your voice like a muscle. If you only use it rarely, it stays weak. If you exercise it daily, asking for small things, speaking up in conversations, it grows stronger over time. Asking becomes second nature. Body language plays a hidden role in voice confidence. When you stand tall, shoulders back, breathing deeply, your voice automatically sounds stronger. When you shrink, slouch or fold your arms, your voice becomes smaller. The body shapes the voice. That's why before an important request, it helps to ground yourself. Take a deep breath, stand firm, and then speak. There's also the mental side. Confident asking requires reframing your perspective. Instead of thinking, "I'm bothering them," think, "I'm offering them value." Instead of thinking, "They'll judge me," think, "They will respect my courage." Your mindset shapes your sound. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean demanding or pressuring others. It means showing certainty without apology. It means respecting yourself and the person you're asking. People respond positively to confidence when it is paired with respect. Remember, hesitation invites doubt, but confidence invites trust. When your voice carries belief, others lean in. They may not always say yes, but they will always remember your strength. So the next time you're about to ask, pause, take a breath. Remind yourself that your request has value. Then speak with steady tone, measured pace, and aligned energy. That's how confidence sounds. And that's how doors open. Chapter 7. The Science of Persuasion. Every successful ask has 2 parts: what you say and how you persuade. Asking without persuasion is like throwing seeds on concrete. But when you add persuasion, you're planting those seeds in fertile soil. Persuasion is not manipulation. It is not tricking someone into doing something they don't want. True persuasion is aligning your request with what the other person values. It's about creating a win-win. When people feel that helping you helps them too, the yes comes naturally. Psychologists have studied persuasion for decades, and 6 timeless principles stand out. Mastering these principles will transform how you ask. The first is reciprocity. People naturally want to return favors. If you give first, others feel an urge to give back. That's why offering value before you ask makes your request stronger. For example, if you've helped a colleague before, they are more likely to say yes when you ask for their support. Even a simple compliment or act of kindness plants the seed of reciprocity. The second is commitment and consistency. People like to stay consistent with their past choices. If someone has already agreed with you on something small, they are more likely to agree on something bigger later. Imagine you want someone to invest in your project. First, you might ask them to review your idea. Once they've given feedback, they are already mentally involved. The next time you ask for financial support, they feel a natural pull to stay consistent. The third principle is social proof. People look at what others are doing before deciding. If you can show that others have already said yes, it becomes easier for the next person to follow. This is why reviews, testimonials, or examples of success make a request more convincing. Asking a boss for a new initiative, show that other companies are already using it successfully. The fourth is liking. People say yes to those they like, and liking is built on 3 things: similarity, compliments and connection. When people feel you are like them, when you show genuine appreciation, when you build rapport, they naturally want to support you. Think about it. Are you more likely to help a stranger or someone you feel close to? Building that bond makes asking easier. The fifth principle is authority. We respect expertise. When someone credible asks us for something, we listen. If you back your request with knowledge, facts, or trusted sources, your words carry more weight. It's not about showing off, it's about proving that you've done your homework. For example, asking for a raise becomes stronger if you show industry salary data, not just personal desire. The sixth principle is scarcity. People value what is rare. If your request involves a unique opportunity, highlight it. "This chance won't come again soon" is a powerful motivator. Scarcity creates urgency, but remember, it must be real. Fake scarcity breaks trust. These principles are not tricks. They are truths about human psychology. We all respond to them. When you combine them with sincerity, your ask becomes almost magnetic. But persuasion is also about storytelling. Facts speak to the mind, stories speak to the heart. When you tell a story, you invite the listener into your world. For example, instead of saying, "I need funding for my business," you might say, "2 years ago, I started with nothing but a laptop. I built a product that now helps hundreds of people. With your support, I can reach thousands more." The story makes the ask alive. Another powerful persuasion tool is framing. The way you frame your request changes how it feels. Instead of saying, "Can you donate $100?" you can say, "With $100 you can feed a family for an entire week." Same request, different impact. People don't just respond to numbers, they respond to meaning. Listening is also persuasion. When you listen deeply to someone's concerns, they feel respected, they lower their defenses. This opens the door for your request to land. Too many people think persuasion means talking more. In reality, it often means listening better. Let's consider an example. Imagine you are negotiating a higher salary. If you walk in demanding more money without context, the answer may be no. But if you show authority, industry data, build liking, positive relationship with your boss, use social proof, colleagues in similar roles earning more, and frame it as mutual benefit. By investing in me, you retain someone committed to the company's success. You've layered persuasion. The odds of hearing yes rise dramatically. Remember this. Persuasion is not about forcing, it is about aligning. It is about showing people why saying yes benefits them too. When your request feels like a gift, not a burden, persuasion has done its work. So the next time you ask, think beyond words. Think psychology. Think story. Think framing. That's how asking evolves into influencing, and influence is the real power behind getting what you want. Chapter 8. Asking in professional settings. In personal life, asking can feel casual, but in professional settings the stakes are higher. The way you ask can decide your growth, your relationships, and your reputation. Yet most people stay silent. They wait to be noticed, hoping opportunities will come. The truth is, in the professional world, the people who ask, clearly, confidently, and respectfully, are the ones who move forward. One of the most common professional asks is for a raise or promotion. Many employees hesitate, fearing they'll appear greedy or ungrateful, but waiting quietly is often the reason careers stagnate. Employers are not mind readers. They reward those who advocate for themselves. The key is preparation. Before asking, gather evidence of your value: projects completed, goals exceeded, problems solved. Numbers speak loudly. Instead of saying, "I deserve more," you can say, "In the last year I increased sales by 20%, trained 3 new team members, and led the project that saved the company $50,000. This turns your ask from a wish into a logical professional request. Another area is asking for resources. Whether you need a bigger budget, more staff, or better tools, Asking directly can make the difference between struggling and thriving. Leaders often appreciate when employees highlight what's missing, as long as it comes with solutions. Instead of complaining, frame your ask as an investment. If we hire one more assistant, we can serve 30% more clients without delays. This shows you're thinking not just about your needs, but about organizational success. In professional life, timing matters. Asking during a busy crisis moment may backfire, but asking after a major success or at a time when decisions are being made creates leverage. For example, right after a successful project launch, your credibility is at its peak. That's the perfect moment to ask for the next opportunity. Networking is another critical space for asking. Too many professionals attend events, collect business cards, and then hesitate to reach out. But opportunities often come from a simple ask. Would you be open to meeting for coffee so I can learn about your experience in this industry? People are usually flattered to share their story. Asking for advice, mentorship, or introductions is not weakness, it's strategy. Those who ask build bridges, and those bridges often lead to doors opening. In business, asking takes the form of sales. Every pitch is essentially an ask, asking someone to invest, to trust, to buy. The best salespeople understand that asking isn't about pressure, it's about showing the value clearly and aligning it with the customer's needs. When you sell with empathy, here's how this product can solve your problem. Your ask becomes service, not persuasion. But asking in professional settings also requires respect and tact. Tone matters. Body language matters. A confident but calm voice, steady eye contact, and open posture make your ask stronger. Too aggressive, and you push people away. Too timid, and your request fades into the background. Balance is key. There is also the art of asking upward. When you're asking something from a boss or senior leader, clarity and brevity matter. Leaders have little time. A long, unclear request will get dismissed. The formula is simple. State the ask, explain the benefit, and show readiness. I'd like to lead the next project. It will allow me to apply my skills, and it will also free up your time for higher-level priorities. Direct, respectful, and mutually beneficial. On the flip side, asking is also essential when managing down. If you're a leader, asking your team for ideas, feedback, or effort shows trust and respect. Instead of commanding, "Do this," you can ask, "How would you approach this challenge?" That simple shift creates engagement and ownership. Leaders who ask empower others. Professional asking also involves boundaries. Sometimes you need to ask for time off, for flexibility, for mental health days. Too many employees suffer in silence, fearing judgment, but organizations are increasingly recognizing the value of well-being. A respectful, honest ask can often be met with understanding. "I've been carrying a heavy load, and I'd like to request one day off to recharge so I can return with full focus." That is professional, not weak. Here's another powerful professional ask. Asking for feedback. Growth happens when you ask, "What could I improve?" It shows humility and hunger. While many fear criticism, leaders respect those who seek it, and feedback, even when tough, gives you the exact roadmap to rise. The golden rule in professional asking is this: always connect your ask to value. Value for the company, value for the team, value for the client. The moment your request is framed as mutually beneficial, resistance lowers. You're not just asking for yourself, you're asking for progress that helps everyone. And one last truth: not asking is the fastest way to stay stuck. The colleague who gets the promotion, the entrepreneur who secures funding, the employee who receives mentorship, they didn't just wait, they asked. And that one ask often changed everything. So in your professional life, make asking a habit. Prepare, frame it well, show the value, and speak with confidence. In a world where most remain silent, the ones who ask respectfully are the ones who advance. Chapter 9: Negotiation and the Art of the Win-Win. Every major success in life, career, business, relationships involves negotiation. At its core, negotiation is just a more structured form of asking. But unlike a simple request, negotiation involves two or more sides with different needs, fears, and desires. The skill is not about crushing the other person. It's about creating an outcome where both sides feel like they won. That's why the best negotiators don't just win deals, they build long-term trust. When people hear negotiation, many imagine conflict, arguments, or manipulation. But true negotiation is none of those things. It is the art of finding alignment. Instead of thinking, how can I take the most, shift to, how can we both walk away better off? This is what's called the win-win mindset. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you are a freelancer negotiating with a client. The client wants to pay less. You want to earn more. If you approach with a win-lose mindset, you'll push aggressively for your price, and they'll push aggressively to lower it. Maybe you win this time, but the client feels cheated and never returns. In contrast, with a win-win mindset, you might say, I understand your budget concern. If we adjust the project scope slightly, I can work within your budget while still delivering high value. Now both sides get something. The client saves money, and you protect your worth. The secret to win-win negotiation starts long before the conversation. It starts with preparation. Know what you want, but also research what the other side wants. Too many people walk into negotiation thinking only about their needs, but if you can articulate the other person's interests even better than they can, you gain enormous power. For instance, if you're negotiating a raise, don't just focus on your achievements. Think about what your manager values: loyalty, efficiency, team harmony. Then frame your ask in that context. I'd like to discuss a raise. I believe it will allow me to take on even more responsibility and free up your time for higher-level strategy. You've connected your ask to their goals. Another principle is anchoring. In negotiation, the first number or offer often sets the stage. If you're selling a service, don't undersell yourself by starting too low. People tend to negotiate downward, not upward. By starting confidently at a fair but higher number, you give yourself room to move while still ending where you want. But negotiation isn't just numbers. It's psychology. People agree with those they trust. That's why the best negotiators listen more than they speak. They ask open-ended questions. What's most important to you in this deal? Where do you see the biggest challenge? This not only gives you insight, but also makes the other person feel respected and heard. Often, people are willing to give more simply because they feel understood. Then comes the concept of creative options. In many negotiations, both sides think too narrowly: money or no money, yes or no. But creative negotiators expand the pie. For example, if you can't get the salary you want, maybe you negotiate for flexible hours, more vacation, or professional training. If a client can't pay your full rate, maybe they offer referrals or a longer contract. By thinking beyond the obvious, you create value no one expected. Another tool is silence. Most people fear silence in negotiation. They rush to fill it, often lowering their own offer. But skilled negotiators use silence strategically. State your request, then pause. Let the other side process. That pause often pushes them to reveal more or to agree. Silence can be more powerful than words. Still, not every negotiation will end with both sides smiling. Sometimes, the best deal is to walk away. And that's where Persuasion comes in. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Before you negotiate, always know your backup plan. If you're asking for a raise, your Persuasion may be applying for other jobs. If you're pitching a client, your Persuasion may be having 3 other leads. A strong Persuasion gives you confidence because you're not negotiating from desperation. Importantly, win-win doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean giving away what matters most to you. It means standing firm on your core needs while being flexible on less important details. The strongest negotiators balance firmness with empathy. Think about history's greatest deals, from peace treaties to billion-dollar business mergers. None of them succeeded through domination alone. They succeeded because both sides found a way to win something meaningful. That's why skilled negotiators are often seen as leaders, because they know how to create harmony where others only see conflict. So next time you're in a negotiation, whether it's asking your boss for a promotion, bargaining with a vendor, or even deciding with your partner where to go on vacation, remember, negotiation is not about one side winning and the other losing. It's about crafting an outcome that keeps relationships strong and futures open. When you master the art of win-win negotiation, asking becomes effortless. People don't resist your requests because they know that when you ask, everyone benefits. That is real power. Chapter 10: How to Ask Without Sounding Needy. One of the biggest reasons people hesitate to ask is fear of sounding desperate. Nobody wants to appear as if they are begging or lacking confidence. The truth is, the way you ask can either make people respect you more or dismiss you entirely. The difference is not in what you ask for, but in how you communicate it. Think about the last time someone asked you for something and it felt uncomfortable. Maybe they kept repeating their request, their tone was apologetic, or they acted like you were their only hope. That's what desperation feels like. It pushes people away, because humans naturally avoid situations where they feel pressured or guilted into helping. Now imagine someone else asking with calm confidence, "I have an idea that could benefit both of us. Here's what I'd like to propose." That feels different, doesn't it? The ask is the same, but the energy behind it is entirely different. Confidence attracts, neediness repels. So, how do you avoid sounding needy when you ask? The first principle is self-sufficiency. Before you ask anyone for something, demonstrate that you've already put effort into solving the problem yourself. For example, if you want career advice from a mentor, don't show up saying, "I have no idea what to do with my life. Please help me." That sounds like you're dumping responsibility on them. Instead, say, "I've been researching different career paths, and I've narrowed it down to 2. I'd love your perspective on which aligns best with my strengths." This shows that you value their insight, not that you're helpless without it. Second, frame your ask in a way that highlights mutual benefit. People don't mind helping, but they love helping when they also gain something. If you're asking for a partnership, make it clear what's in it for them. If you're asking for advice, let them know how their guidance could make a real impact. Even if the benefit is intangible, like feeling valued, it makes the ask far more attractive. Tone and body language are also critical. A needy tone is hesitant, apologetic, filled with words like "sorry to bother you" or "I hate to ask this." Confident asking uses steady, calm words, "I'd appreciate your thoughts," or "Would you be open to discussing this?" Similarly, posture matters. If you slump, avoid eye contact, or fidget, you signal insecurity. Stand or sit upright, maintain relaxed eye contact, and smile naturally. These small details make a massive difference. Another strategy is options over ultimatums. When you give people only one way to say yes, you trap them, and they feel pressured. That can come across as needy. Instead, offer flexibility. Would next week work for a meeting, or is there another time that's better for you? This shows respect for their time and creates a sense of collaboration rather than obligation. One more powerful tool is patience. Neediness often shows up as urgency. You send a message and then follow up an hour later. "Did you see it?" That communicates desperation. Instead, show that you are comfortable waiting. Respect their time and space. People are far more likely to say yes when they don't feel rushed. You also need to build an abundance mindset. If you believe that one person, one opportunity, or one outcome is your only chance, you will always sound desperate. But if you know there are many paths to success, you can ask with confidence, because you don't need this particular yes. That's why strong negotiators always have a backup plan. When you don't cling to a single option, your energy shifts from "please help me" to "here's an opportunity I'd love to explore with you." Let's look at an example. Suppose you're pitching your business idea to an investor. The needy version would be, "We really need your money or we can't survive. Please, can you help us?" That screams desperation. The confident version is, "We're already seeing growth and positive customer feedback. With your investment, we could accelerate and capture a larger market. We'd love to explore how this could be a win for both of us." Same ask, completely different energy. In relationships, the same principle applies. Constantly asking for validation or attention feels needy, but expressing clear desires with respect feels attractive. Instead of, "Why don't you ever call me? Do you even care?" say, "I enjoy when we talk more often. Can we make time for that?" The second approach communicates value, not desperation. At the end of the day, not sounding needy is about shifting your identity. You are not someone begging for favors. You are someone offering opportunities for collaboration, growth, or mutual gain. You respect yourself enough to know your value, and you respect others enough not to pressure them. That balance creates the magic of confident asking. So remember this rule. Don't ask because you need. Ask because you deserve, because you've earned, and because the outcome creates value for everyone involved. When you embody that mindset, no request will ever sound needy again. Chapter 11. The role of body language and presence. When you ask for something, words are only part of the story. Studies show that the majority of communication is nonverbal. Your tone, posture, gestures, and overall presence often speak louder than what you actually say. People don't just hear your request, they feel it. And if your body language contradicts your words, people will always believe the nonverbal signals first. Imagine this scenario. You ask your boss for a promotion, but you look down at the floor, your shoulders slump, and your voice trembles. Even if you use the perfect words, your body language says, "I don't believe I deserve this." Now picture yourself making the same request, but this time you're sitting upright, your tone is steady, and you look them directly in the eye. Suddenly, your message has authority and credibility. Presence is the invisible force that makes people pay attention when you walk into a room. Some people radiate confidence without saying a word. That presence comes from aligning body language with inner conviction. It's not about pretending or faking. It's about owning your space and carrying yourself with dignity. So how do you build presence and master body language when asking? The first principle is posture. Stand tall, shoulders back, chest open. This posture communicates confidence and openness. When you shrink yourself physically, crossed arms, hunched back, you send a signal of insecurity or defensiveness. People subconsciously pick up on this. If your body says you're small, your request will feel small too. Second is eye contact. Too little, and you seem evasive. Too much, and you seem aggressive. The balance is in holding natural eye contact, while occasionally breaking it to avoid staring. Think of it as a rhythm, like a dance of attention. Steady eye contact communicates honesty, respect, and courage. Third is voice tone. Needy asks are high-pitched, rushed, or apologetic. Confident asks are slow, measured, and calm. The strong voice doesn't mean loud, it means controlled and steady. Silence is also powerful. If you pause after your request instead of nervously filling the space, you show composure. People respect those who are comfortable with silence. Gestures also matter. Nervous fidgeting, tapping, or wringing your hands signal uncertainty. Instead, use open, deliberate gestures. Show your palms occasionally. It communicates honesty. Nod gently to show engagement. Avoid pointing or overly dramatic hand movements, as they can feel aggressive or manipulative. Another overlooked element is breathing. Shallow, rapid breaths signal anxiety. Before asking for something important, take a few deep breaths. Ground yourself. When your breathing is calm, your voice deepens naturally, and your body relaxes. That simple shift can completely transform how others perceive you. Presence also extends beyond the moment of asking. It's about the reputation you build over time. If people see you as confident, reliable, and composed in general, then when you ask, they already associate you with strength and credibility. Presence is not a one-time performance, it's a habit of carrying yourself with consistency. Let's take an example. Suppose you're asking a potential client to sign a contract. If you lean back casually, mumble your request, and avoid eye contact, the client might hesitate. But if you lean slightly forward, maintain open posture, speak clearly, and hold eye contact, they feel your conviction. Your presence reassures them that you believe in what you're offering. Body language also helps in rejecting rejection. If someone says no and you slump in defeat, you look weak. But if you stay calm, maintain posture, and smile, you show resilience. That presence often makes them reconsider or respect you more, keeping the door open for future opportunities. Think of presence as an aura. You project either confidence or insecurity without saying a word. When you combine strong body language with clear, respectful words, your asks become powerful. People don't just hear you, they trust you. So, the next time you prepare to ask for something, don't just rehearse your words, rehearse your posture, your tone, your presence. Because in the art of asking, how you show up matters as much as what you say. Chapter 12, Using Stories and Emotions to Influence. Facts tell, but stories sell. This simple phrase explains why some people get what they want effortlessly, while others struggle. Logic and facts are important, but emotions move people to act. And the most powerful way to trigger emotions is through storytelling. When you ask for something, you're not just transferring information. You're inviting someone into a narrative. You're making them feel. If they feel your request, they're far more likely to say yes. Think about charity campaigns. If they only showed statistics like millions of children lack clean water, people might care, but not enough to act. But when they show the story of one child walking miles each day just to fetch dirty water, suddenly hearts open. Donations flow. That's the power of story-driven emotion. So how do you use stories and emotions when you ask? The first step is human connection. Numbers and data engage the brain, but stories engage the heart. If you want your boss to approve a project, don't just present a spreadsheet of potential profits. Share a story about how the project could transform a client's experience, solve a real problem, or create an inspiring impact. People want to feel part of something meaningful. Second, tap into relatable emotions. The 4 strongest emotional triggers are hope, fear, curiosity, belonging. If you can frame your request in a way that connects to one of these emotions, you instantly make it harder to ignore. Asking for a raise? Don't just say you deserve more. Show how you've contributed and express hope about growing with the company's vision. Asking for help from a friend? Don't just say you need it. Show the fear of missing a deadline or the relief their support could bring. Third, use the structure of a simple story. Every powerful story has 3 parts. The struggle, set up the problem. The turning point, what could change if help arrives. The resolution, how things will look once the request is fulfilled. For example, imagine asking a mentor for guidance. Instead of saying, "Can you advise me?" you could say, "I've been struggling with time management as my workload grows. I believe your experience could help me see things differently. If I can master this, I'll finally be able to handle projects at a higher level." That short narrative makes the ask clear, emotional, and inspiring. Another element is vulnerability. People connect deeply when you show authenticity. Sharing a genuine challenge or dream creates empathy. Vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. It means courage. If you ask with a robotic, detached tone, you sound cold. But if you allow real feeling, passion, excitement, even fear, your request becomes human. Music, movies, And books influence us not because of facts, but because of emotion. They move us. The same is true in asking. If your words carry no emotion, they will pass unnoticed. If they carry heart, they will echo. Consider Steve Jobs. When he asked investors and teams to believe in Apple, he didn't talk only about technical specs. He told a story about changing the world, about creating tools for dreamers, about challenging the status quo. That narrative pulled people in emotionally, making them say yes, even to bold, risky ideas. The art of asking is not manipulation. It's about alignment. You align your request with the values, hopes, and emotions of the listener. If you know what someone cares about, and you tell a story that touches that care, the chances of a yes multiply. Here's a practical tip. Before making an important ask, write a short story script for yourself. Ask, what is the emotional core of my request? What story can I tell that illustrates this? How can I make them feel the importance, not just hear the words? When you practice asking this way, you'll notice people leaning forward, nodding, and engaging more deeply. They won't just hear your request, they'll imagine themselves inside your story, and once they do, the yes becomes almost inevitable. So remember, in the art of asking, emotion is the secret currency. Facts support, but stories persuade. If you can weave emotion into your asks, you won't just be asking, you'll be inspiring. Chapter 13, Turning Rejection into Opportunity. Every time you ask for something, there is a risk of hearing no. That single word can sting. It feels personal, almost like a judgment on your worth. But here's the truth. Rejection is not the end of the road. It is simply a redirection. The world's most successful people were rejected more times than we can imagine. Authors had their books turned down by dozens of publishers before one said yes. Entrepreneurs had investors laugh at their ideas before one believed. Rejection is not a signal to stop. It's a signpost telling you to adjust, refine, or knock on another door. The first step in turning rejection into opportunity is to separate your identity from the outcome. A no does not mean you are unworthy. It only means that your request, at that moment, did not match the other person's needs, desires, or timing. Once you stop taking rejection personally, you free yourself to learn from it instead of fearing it. Second, rejection is feedback. Every no contains a lesson. Did you ask too vaguely? Did you fail to explain the value? Did you approach the wrong person? Instead of walking away bitter, walk away wiser. Write down what happened. Study it. Improve your approach. Each rejection sharpens your skill of asking. Third, rejection builds resilience. Think of it like weightlifting. Each no is another rep. The more you experience rejection, the stronger your tolerance becomes. What used to crush your spirit now barely scratches you. And that strength is essential because big asks, life-changing asks, often require passing through many no's before you land the yes. But here's the hidden truth. Sometimes a rejection is actually protecting you. What you asked for may not have been right for you. The closed door forces you to discover a better one. Many people look back years later and realize they are thankful for the rejections they once hated. That relationship that ended, that job they didn't get, that opportunity that slipped away. Often, it cleared space for something greater. Reframing rejection as opportunity requires a shift in perspective. Instead of thinking I failed, you ask, what is this teaching me? Where is it guiding me? That single question transforms rejection from poison into power. There is also a tactical way to use rejection. Follow-up. A no today is not always a permanent no. Sometimes it means not yet. People's circumstances change, their mood shifts, their priorities evolve. If you handle rejection with grace, humility, and gratitude, you keep the door open. And when you return later, the answer may be different. Consider salespeople. They know rejection is part of the process. The best ones don't quit after the first no. They politely check back, stay in touch, and eventually catch the right timing. This works in life as well. The key is to remain respectful, not pushy. Rejection is not permission to nag, but it is an invitation to persist smartly. And don't forget, rejection fuels creativity. When one path closes, it forces you to find another. Think about Thomas Edison, who famously said he didn't fail 10,000 times while inventing the light bulb. He simply found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Rejection of his early experiments guided him to innovation. Without those rejections, he would never have discovered the breakthrough. So here's the mindset shift. Every time you hear no, silently thank the person. They just gave you a chance to grow. They just toughened your spirit, sharpened your strategy, and redirected you towards something better. The art of asking is not about getting a yes every time. It's about asking boldly, learning from the no, and refusing to stop. If you train your mind to see rejection as opportunity, you'll never truly lose. You either win or you learn. And learning is the seed of your future victories. Chapter 14. Asking bigger, expanding your limits. Most people ask for less than what they truly want. They shrink their requests out of fear of rejection, fear of being seen as greedy, fear of not being worthy. As a result, they settle for crumbs when they could have asked for the cake. The truth is, the size of your ask often determines the size of your reward. If you keep your requests small, your life will stay small. But when you dare to ask bigger, the possibilities of your life expand. Why don't people ask bigger? Because their mind plays a trick. If I ask for too much, they'll laugh. If I ask for too much, I'll look foolish. But here's the paradox. Big asks often inspire more than small ones. People are drawn to bold visions. They respect those who dare to stretch. Think about it. If someone asks you for a small favor, you might consider it. But if someone asks you to join a mission that excites you, challenges you, and promises something meaningful, you might feel more motivated to say yes. Big asks create energy. Let's look at history. The Wright brothers didn't ask the world for support in building slightly better bicycles. They asked for belief in human flight. Elon Musk didn't ask investors for help with a nice little car company. He asked for belief in transforming transportation and reaching Mars. These are massive asks, and because they were big, they attracted big attention, big resources, and big believers. Asking bigger is not about arrogance, it's about vision. It's about daring to stretch beyond what feels comfortable. When you ask small, you limit not only yourself, but also the opportunities of those who could join your journey. Asking bigger allows others to be part of something greater. So how do you start asking bigger? The first step is clarity. You need to know what you really want, not just what feels safe to ask. Strip away the fear. Ask yourself, if I knew I wouldn't be rejected, what would I ask for? That question reveals your true desire. The second step is courage. Yes, a big ask might scare you, but courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite fear. The more you practice asking bigger, the less intimidating it becomes. Start stretching your asks gradually. Push yourself one step beyond what feels safe. The third step is value. When you ask big, you must also show the big value that comes with it. People are more likely to support a bold request if they see how it benefits them or how it contributes to something larger than themselves. If your big ask is only about you, it may feel selfish, but if it aligns with their values, dreams, or impact, it becomes irresistible. Here's something crucial. Asking big often creates better outcomes, even if you don't get exactly what you want. Imagine you ask for $100,000 funding, but only receive $50,000. That's still far more than if you had timidly asked for $10,000. By asking bigger, you raised the ceiling of what's possible. Another hidden power of asking bigger is that it transforms your own self-image. Each time you dare to make a bold request, you reinforce to yourself that you are worthy of more. Over time, this reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who has to settle, and you begin to see yourself as someone who can claim abundance. And remember, big asks attract big minds. When you raise the level of your request, you raise the level of people who respond. Mediocrity answers small asks. Greatness answers bold ones. So the next time you are about to ask, pause, check yourself. Are you shrinking your request out of fear, or are you daring to expand into possibility? Life doesn't reward timidity, it rewards boldness. The art of asking is not just about knowing how to request, it's about knowing how big you're willing to dream. And when you ask bigger, you expand not only your own life, but also the lives of those who say yes. Chapter 15. Mastering the Art of Asking. Bringing it all together. We've traveled through the journey of asking, from overcoming fear to building confidence, to handling rejection, to daring to ask bigger. Now it's time to weave these lessons into one philosophy of life, the art of asking as a lifelong practice. At its core, asking is not about manipulation, persuasion, or begging. It is about clarity, courage, and connection. It begins with knowing what you want. Most people fail not because life denied them, but because they never defined their desires clearly enough to ask. The first rule of asking is simple: be specific about your vision. A vague ask gets a vague response. A precise ask gets a precise result. Once you have clarity, you need courage. Courage to step into discomfort, to risk hearing no, to challenge your own limits. Fear will always whisper in your ear, telling you to stay small, to remain silent, to not bother anyone. But courage is choosing to speak anyway. Every great breakthrough in history came from someone brave enough to ask for something that didn't yet exist. Next comes connection. The best asks are not demands, they are bridges. They create a win-win. You must learn to see the world from the other person's eyes. Why would they say yes? What value do they gain? When you align your request with their desires, your ask becomes natural, almost effortless. But remember, asking is not a one-time act. It is a practice. Just like training your body in the gym, you train your ability to ask through repetition. The more you ask, the stronger your confidence grows. You learn to handle rejection with grace. You learn to adjust your language. You learn which doors to knock on and when to wait. And here's a secret. The art of asking is not only about asking others, it's also about asking yourself. Each morning, ask yourself, what do I want? Who do I want to be? What step will move me forward today? Self-questioning builds self-awareness, and self-awareness guides every external request you make. Another dimension of mastery is patience. Not every ask will be answered immediately. Sometimes the seed takes time to grow. A no today may turn into a yes tomorrow. Don't rush the process. Trust it. Keep showing up. Keep asking. Keep refining. The final piece is generosity. When you learn to ask, also learn to give. Help others with their asks. Support their dreams. Say yes when you can. Life has a way of rewarding givers. When you become the person who uplifts others, you create a network of goodwill that eventually circles back to you. So, what does it mean to truly master the art of asking? It means living boldly, not timidly. It means seeing every no as feedback, every yes as a doorway, and every interaction as an opportunity to connect. It means replacing fear with curiosity, doubt with courage, and hesitation with action. In the end, asking is not just about getting what you want, it's about becoming who you were meant to be. Each request you make is a declaration. This is my vision. This is my dream. This is the life I am creating. If you dare to ask, again and again, with clarity, courage, and authenticity, the world eventually responds. Doors open, people appear, opportunities align, and you realize that the universe has always been waiting, not to give, but to respond to your willingness to ask. So step forward. Speak your truth. Make the ask. And remember, the difference between those who wish and those who achieve is often just one thing: the courage to ask.